Guess who wants to get back on the ballot? The All About Nothing podcast. That's who. We were crowned Best Local Podcast in 2023, took runner-up in 2024, and now we're coming for that top spot again in the Post and Courier's Free Times Best of Columbia 2025. It's nomination season, and we need your help. Head over to postandcourier.com/free-times or follow the link in the show notes and drop our name like it's hot in the Best Local Podcast category. You've got until April 30th, so tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your dog with an iPad, whoever's got internet. The All About Nothing podcast, because if talking about nothing were an Olympic sport, we'd already have a gold medal and a sponsorship from Waffle House. Summer is heating up with Everplay Sports and Social League. Get in on the fun with Super Rec Kickball Tuesdays at M Avenue Ballpark, or join the classic Wednesday or Thursday night kickball at both M Avenue and B Avenue. Prefer volleyball? We've got indoor mix and match Sundays at Providence Park, Monday indoor at Tri-City, and sand volleyball Tuesdays and Thursdays at Pollywog. Swing into softball Sundays or Mondays at TS Martin, or go big with hardball Wednesdays at Seven Oaks Park. Like a strike of fun? Hit bowling Tuesdays at Bolero, or toss some bags with cornhole Wednesdays at Jay's Corner. Score goals with turf soccer Mondays at Recreation Athletics, and Wednesday soccer at B Avenue and Bray Park. And don't miss Pickleball Monday at Casey Pickleball Complex. Registration is open now through May 21st at everplaysocial.com. Also mark your calendars for the 10th Masters of Putt Putt, Friday, August 22nd. Registration by August 21st. Everplay, your league, your social life, your summer of fun. Visit everplaysocial.com for registration and details.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 250. I am Barrett Gruber. I'm joined by Miss Ami Bland, who is the host, of course, of Welcome to Wonderland. We don't see her on this podcast nearly enough, but once is enough this year.
Well, thank you.
Please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting theallaboutnothing.com and becoming an official member and proudly calling yourself a true Nothinger. We'll have more details on that at the end of the show. And if you can't do that, please give us a 5-star review, a like, and follow us across social media. You can find links at theallaboutnothing.com. Please also want you to check out ZJZ Design, whether you're looking for the perfect graphic tee to show off your style or something unique to wear to any occasion. ZJZ Designs has you covered. From bold designs to creative prints, they offer a range of apparel that's all about making a statement. And if you love standing out in the crowd, check out their collection today, zjzdesigns.com. Trust me, you won't want to miss what they have in store. ZJZ Designs, where fashion meets fun, no matter the season. I want to give a big thanks to Luke Basso, who joined me for last week's episode. Actually, I don't think that's true. Luke Basso was a few days ago, or a couple episodes ago. Bill Fry was here with me last week. Look, we record these episodes almost 2 weeks ahead of time, and I'm trying in my head to remember what the last episode was, and I'm pretty sure that 249 was a breakdown of something Trump did stupid. And I feel like that's about as safe a description of that last episode as I can give. But Bill Fry will be back with me for the next episode because Zach is still on paternity leave. Although I think I did mention in the episode with Luke, because I did listen to it, and I confess I almost never listen to my own episodes. But I will confess that I did acknowledge that Zach's wife did have twins. They had a boy and a girl. They were 6 pounds something, and maybe just under 6 pounds was Ellie. Am I right?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay. I apparently was blessed with these details somehow, and I'm thinking about it. I don't know where I got those details.
You're just making them up. Is that the birth weight of your twins?
The birth weight of they were both 6'9", 6 pounds 9 ounces. Lot of baby. If you're having to carry 13 and a half pounds, that's a chunky baby. And for anyone out there that was more than 13 pounds, I apologize. That was completely insensitive of me.
You're a baby. It's fine. It's fine.
But thanks to Luke Basso for being on the episode, because I don't think I thanked him in the episode that I did with Bill last week. But like I said, Bill Fry will be back with me for the next episode. Thank you, Ami, for sitting in. I appreciate it. So we have a very fascinating guest joining us whose work spans personal transformation, spirituality, and community building. I want to welcome to the show Reverend Pamela Mela Borawski. I want to make sure I get your last name right, too, because I just realized in the pre-interview, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name, but Borawski is correct, right?
Borawski, yes.
Borawski. She is a certified hypnotist and ordained pagan minister and the founder of 3 Rays of Light, LLC. Through her work, she helps people explore the power of the mind, embracing personal sovereignty, and connect with their spiritual paths in meaningful ways. But that's just the beginning. Mela is also a hearth keeper for Eowyn Grove Pagan Fellowship, the president of Greenwild Spiritual Fellowship, and the co-founder of Greenwild Mystical Academy, where she teaches courses on spiritual growth. If that wasn't enough, she is the host of the podcast Bell, Book, and Candle, where she dives into anything and everything mystical practices to personal empowerment. So we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about your journey, your work and lessons, and also what you've learned along the way. So Mela, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I was excited because I think we were at Christmas dinner or we were at some event, and my wife's sister's niece is a mutual friend of ours. And I just happened to say something about how I would really like to meet a hypnotist that I could potentially have on the podcast. And in that conversation, our mutual acquaintance that we have said, "I know somebody," and threw out your name. And so at first I wasn't sure because the idea of being hypnotized and not having that control that could potentially be taken away by somebody that would take advantage of it was a little bit concerning. But also, as I expressed before we started recording, it's not something that I want to exploit. I don't want to have somebody on that has a skill like this that uses it as part of what you do in helping people with their spiritual healing and therapy and things like that. I didn't want to take it and be like, "Hey, turn me into a chicken."
Yeah.
So first of all, I guess before we get into everything, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your background? What is it how are we here?
Wow, that's quite a story. So I'll put it as tiny as I can. I actually grew up in an evangelical fundamentalist cult church here in South Carolina that was very controlling, very abusive, and there was also a lot of things going on at my house that turned me into this person that was seeking healing for myself. I was depressed. I've been in the mental hospital. I was suicidal. I harmed myself. All these different things that I didn't want to live anymore. And that's really integral to my story because it's why in my 40s, when I finally got to the point where I felt healed enough that I wanted to help other people so maybe they were healed sooner than I was, it allowed me to go back to school and to learn all these different techniques and hypnosis and coaching and guiding people and get ordained all through the school that I went to. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have been on my own kind of hero's journey and in the dark night of the soul in such a deep way that I didn't even want to exist in this world anymore. So kind of in a nutshell, that's where I am now.
That is a lot to unpack. First of all, we see a lot over the course, even recently, there are so many. We have specials on Netflix and Hulu of people that escaped from these fundamentalist evangelical churches and things like that. And is not to get too deep into it, but is it sort of a similar? Is it something that we could potentially see on Dateline MSNBC or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. It had everything that you could want in a cult, including sexual abuse and everything from leadership. Yeah, it was a very controlling type of place where women were subservient and less than, and just taught to serve other people. It was associated at one point with Bob Jones University. I don't know if I should even be saying that. Is that okay to say? But and
Bob
so
Jones hasn't paid for their advertising in years, so you're good.
yeah, so they were associated with them, and they made the women wear long jean skirts like you would see on those programs, and we were sent to uh, different seminars and things to learn how to be good, quiet women and good wives. So it was a pretty scary place.
Sounds very Handmaid's Tale.
Hmm.
Yeah. And awfully brave of you to be able to speak about, because I know a lot of times people are afraid to speak out and tell their own truth, even though it's so immensely helpful to other people who are in similar situations to know that they're not alone. Because in that moment, I have to imagine you feel alone, despite being surrounded by other women who are in the exact same scenario as you.
Yeah, even in the church, there were lots of other people who ended up being abused in different ways, and it ended up that nobody wanted as an adult to go back to that. So I ended up being the only person that pressed charges.
Goodness.
Wow.
Is there and this is me just is there a community that is available for survivors of that sort of situation? Is this, I mean, or is it just sort of you have to find those people and just sort of coalesce into
But you kind of do that too, right? So that's
Yeah, they are everywhere, and many of them have come to paganism. But if you're looking for something like that, if you look up evangelical, you will find lots of communities, lots of YouTube videos, TikToks, everything. That evangelical is what people usually call themselves.
yeah. Are there a lot of I'm going to get hit by lightning for saying this jokes?
it is storming outside.
Paganism is extremely interesting to me because even those that are evangelical Christians, they're Protestants or Catholics, they I will hear them at least acknowledge the attachment to what was paganism before Christianity sort of took hold.
Well, you can't not. I mean, that's where so much of it comes from.
Yeah, but I think we can all acknowledge that Christianity is only as popular as it is because of the holidays that are extremely I'm sorry. I look. I grew up in a household that wasn't very religious, and then when I moved to South Carolina, in order to technically marry my first wife, I had to become Catholic because they wanted a Catholic wedding, and I had to be, I had to go through CRIA so that I could be a Catholic, and I attached myself to it. I liked the traditions of the church, and I certainly believed that there was a Jesus Christ that existed, and I had no issue with that. The issues that have taken me and pushed me further away from any really organized religion is just the amount of abusive power that seems to be held on to by the people that run these churches, and so paganism just seems like fun.
I think it is.
Yeah,
it's definitely something that you are your own sovereign power in. You're making your own path. There is no Southern Baptist Convention or anything like that that's telling you what you have to believe and what you have to do.
So what you're telling me is no dues.
No dues.
No tithing. Is that what we're? No, I'm sorry.
We don't do tithing in our church. Basically, it's a pagan church. We have that in our bylaws that we are not forcing people to tithe. I grew up with being told that you had to give 10% and it had to come before taxes, and the pastor and the elders would come knocking on your door if you didn't do that. And I don't want that. I don't want that energy around me.
Yeah.
So, and I know I've listened to a couple of different podcasts that you were on, or little snippets of them. And my understanding is that while you felt the connection to paganism earlier on, you didn't consider yourself necessarily a witch until later in your life. Like that was something that you came to later. But I think, and I don't know a whole lot about paganism, but I feel like that's probably something that to some degree, maybe you have an inkling of a thought that that's part of who you are or how you think, even before you can establish it as, this design.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start feeling like this is maybe something I feel spiritually connected to?
Paganism or witchcraft?
Paganism.
Paganism. It was probably about 22 or 23 years ago. And oddly enough, my inroad was D&D.
Oh, okay.
So it was late 20s for me. I'm in my 50s, and I was out of the church by that time. I had chronic illness. I was on my computer all the time, and I started playing D&D. I wanted to be a druid. I am a researcher. I looked up druidry and druids, and I started running into real druids and real organizations. And I connected with that so much. So my first kind of jaunt in paganism was as a druid. And over 20 years ago, I was out in my parents' yard when I was over at their house. My mom sewed me a white robe and with oak leaves down it. And I went out and celebrated my first full moon by myself.
So your mother, was she in your evangelical church with you?
She was.
And
she
supported this.
She did, because she helped me in my healing. My story is very kind of ups and downs. And so there were a couple of points where my husband and I were separated, and even legally separated at one time. And I had a lot of healing that I needed to do. The second time we were separated was because his church, because he was still in church, had told him that I was not safe to be around our young children, that I was demon possessed, and that he needed to let the unbeliever depart. And so that is when I went to live with my parents, and my mother got DBT, that kind of therapy for me, and counseling, and also supported my journey into paganism, even though she did not understand it or agree with it. She wanted to support me in whatever I needed to do to heal and not be as broken as I felt that I was. So I really appreciate
So she
that
sewed
from
you a
her.
beautiful robe to go out and celebrate the full moon.
Yep.
And so to go back a little bit into the evangelical Christian, the church that you were involved in, that your husband was with, these Christians, did they offer anything besides judgment and name calling to try and like encourage you to recognize that maybe what they were doing was right? I mean, I guess that's one of those things that I go back to, is just when I think of Christianity, just the amount of judgment that's involved in some of these evangelical churches.
Definitely.
But like, your husband, are you and your husband are still together now, or
We are. Yeah.
and he supports you through your journey.
He supports me completely now.
Yeah. But when the church was saying these terrible things, or trying to make it look as though you had something that was wrong with you, did the church itself offer any sort of like assistance or counseling or anything like that wasn't a didn't have any sort of preconceived like bylaws or requirements?
So I had agreed to go to marriage counseling wherever he wanted me to go. And I went to his church. And it wasn't, of course, the same church that I grew up in. It wasn't nearly as strict as that. But still, I was very sure that I was pagan at the time. I was reading oracle cards and tarot cards and doing magic and that sort of thing. And I was open about it. And so when I went to pastoral counseling several times with him and one of the pastors, it kind of was a blind side to me, because he met with my husband's without me there that I didn't know about. And that's when my husband came home. So he was nice to my face, wonderful, trying to help us and everything. And then he snuck my husband in and told him to let the unbeliever depart, that, I was dangerous for my children. And that was the end of that. Yeah. And my husband no longer goes to that church or any church.
What does it mean to you to, or I guess for anyone that might not understand, including myself, what does it mean to be pagan?
To me, it's a huge umbrella. So I'm going to speak about my own personal belief, and anyone else who's pagan who doesn't resonate with that, just understand that it's a huge umbrella. For me, it is a deep connection to nature, to the cycles of nature, learning from the moon, the sun, the earth, following all of the seasonal celebrations that come through, and having we call it a right relationship with nature, whatever that means, a right relationship with other people, because we're all part of nature. And I'm a pantheist and an animist. So I believe that everything is one. It's all one energy. And I believe that everything has a little bit of consciousness in it. So you'll see me talking to the trees, talking to the bees, the crows, the ground, a rock, because I believe that we are all just little bits and pieces of the consciousness of the universe, and we're connected to that. So connection and relationship is really what my pagan path is about.
I was a Boy Scout, and but no, I think it's fascinating that just being aware of your environment and how much of a role that environment plays on your life, and how you play a role in that, whether it's nature and everything else like that, that to have that defined by a grouping or a title like paganism, is it almost seems unnecessary, because I think, when everything we do, Tesla, is a Tesla worth buying, or is the lithium battery mining so awful for the environment that we shouldn't do it?
That is the question.
So here's an on-topic question.
Sorry, sorry. I make jokes.
The transition from paganism to witchcraft, then, because they're not necessarily the same, right? Like they kind of overlap, but they're kind of two different sects, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
So witchcraft, the way I see it, is a skill set. Okay. I know Christian witches, I know Jewish witches, I know atheist witches. It's a skill set, and it goes very well with paganism. So I am a pagan witch, but there are other types of witches out there.
I did not know that. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. When did you realize that you were a witch?
I had been toying with that probably the last 10 years or so, but the way that I was brought up had such a bad taste in my mouth about the term witch. There was so much just negative about it that just like other words, like prayer, also had a bad connotation because of what happened in my church. That there are certain things that I had to reclaim with my own definition, and not how my church saw it when I was growing up. And witch was one of those things. And when I did research on it, because I had other people saying they were witches, and the way they described it, I felt like, well, that was me. My mother was very against the word witch, and she does not consider herself a witch, even though she will come and do magic with me. So it was just a kind of a gradual thing of the more research that I did, the more I realized that I will claim this and it will be what I want it to be.
What sort of magic are we talking about? Like what is, because I know a couple card tricks, but
but not really well.
Well, I mean, I may be able to convince you that is your card. But like when you say things, when you talk about magic, what sort of things are we talking about?
To me, magic is any time you are trying to manipulate and change the universe around you. So, As a child, one of the things that I did that I got in trouble for, because it was seen as demonic, is I would have dreams of things that would happen. I don't think that I created it to happen, but I knew what was going to happen. I would sing to the rain outside my window, and I would sing for it to stop raining. It would stop, and then I'd sing and it would start again. So as a energy manipulator, I do healing energy. I think everything that we do has energy. Science has proven that everything is energy, that when you are trying to, like in Appalachia, the weather magic is very strong. So if I want the wind or the rain to not, come down on my party, I will blow it across the street. And I've had multitudes of people see it happen, and it will be raining across the street, but not on our party. So that's just an example. I think healing, I think praying for someone's good health, praying for a parking spot down at the State House and it happening, it being right there open. Any time that you are manipulating the universe, you are doing magic. Everything is magical. People they give it a bad name, and they think that it's just kind of this weird thing that you're doing all this stuff with smoke and mirrors. And maybe I use smoke and mirrors sometimes, and maybe I use herbs and sticks and things like that. But our voice is used in every religion, every culture to change the world around us. And that's the magic. And so that's what I do. When I do hypnosis, I think that's magic too. When I went and spoke at a Presbyterian church, I told all those people that when they pray, that they're casting a spell. They didn't take it too kindly, but I believe that that's the truth.
Well, at least it was the Presbyterians and not the Pentecostals, because
that's true.
Or the Independent Baptists, because they may have thrown snakes and rats at you. So, I'm generalizing, but I'm being honest. So, I want to talk about a little bit about the spiritual alchemy. You call yourself a spiritual alchemist. It's not something you hear every day. So, can you break that down for us? What is it exactly that a spiritual alchemist is?
Alchemy is about transmutation, transformation. So I have clients come to me for whatever reason, because I'm a transpersonal hypnosis practitioner. So we're dealing with mind, body, and spirit. So if I have someone come to me and they are carrying these heavy burdens from abuse, from trauma, from different things that have happened to them in their past, they're holding on to that energy in their bodies, in their minds, and in their spiritual world. And so as an alchemist, my job is to ask the right questions, to figure out what I need to say in order to help make this change happen, and to encourage them to make the different changes. And also using hypnosis and other healing techniques, tapping, auricular therapy, all the different tools and techniques and modalities that I know if they are needed. All of that together is almost like this alchemist lab that we're putting these different ingredients in and transmuting what is harming them and hurting them in their life. A lot of times it's because they just don't even love themselves. That can change your life if you start loving yourself, and transmuting all the negative into something that they can then take and have a more healed, a more happy, a better life. Even if they come to me to do well in a test, because hypnosis is good for that, or to do better at sports, you're still taking their beliefs about that, transmuting that into them being better at whatever they're doing, or being able to remember things on a test. Does that make sense?
No, I think that makes sense to me in the idea, without associating it with magic. But if basically if I accept the idea of magic, then I guess that sort of gives it rather than just being a skill of pushing or acknowledging someone's pain or weakness or things like that, and then moving them towards that healing by allowing them to heal themselves. The magic part is the part that I wind up having a hard time with, only because I in my head I apply science. When you mention like,
Well, I mean, she did over 100 hours.
yeah, no,
hardcore
totally
to
agree.
Do
No,
hypnotherapy. Like
totally agree.
It's a science to it.
And of course I'm coming at it from listeners that would potentially be skeptical of it.
Mhm.
We have people that listen that are very Christian. We have a woman who does a diatribe for our podcast, Sarah Jane, who is an evangelical. No, I'm sorry, is a minister. She's a lay minister. So of course those are, and having grown up in and around Christianity, I certainly recognize the I guess a degree of the skepticism of the idea of magic. And how is, like with me, one of the things I have a group that we go and do paranormal investigations.
Mhm.
I am a full-on skeptic in the idea that, one, that there's even an afterlife, and two, that afterlife has the ability to have manipulative spirits that would have some sort of effect on the environment. But I've documented shit that I don't understand. So but I'm still very skeptical of it. It's just my persona, my being. But like for let's say somebody comes to you looking for help, that they have reached the point where traditional medicines or traditional therapies are just not there. It's not fixing it for them. It's not getting them to the point where they can be self-sufficient. If they came to you, what's one of the first approaches that you give them? And do you give them a test? Do you walk through? Well, I'll let you answer. Instead of throwing out all the potentials that you could do, and now I'm running your company for a 5% cover charge.
Don't let them do it. Don't.
So first, I think that my challenge for you is to expand your definition of magic. And I think a lot of people hear the term magic and they think of kind of hokey TV shows and movies and books. And magic, when I talk about it, it does have a scientific basis because there's a lot of things that we know about today that were magic in the past. And so maybe magic is just science that we don't quite understand, especially when you're looking at it at a quantum level of how the world interacts with each other and how they have actually done experiments where speaking to things like speaking to plants nicely makes it grow better, and speaking to it in a derogatory way has made it to not live as well. Or when they're doing experiments where if you're not watching it, the molecule or atom or whatever it was does something completely different. So there's a consciousness or a magic to it, but you have to expand your definition of magic. As far as the clients, when they come to me, I don't talk about magic with most of my clients unless they come to me and they say, I'm pagan and I want this to be on a more magical level. In my mind, I know what is happening is alchemy, magical alchemy, spiritual alchemy, whatever you want to call it. But I will just treat them with respect. I will see them where they are at. I will ask them questions. I have a whole intake form where they talk about what's happened, what are they looking to get, what their learning style is, phobias, because I don't want to do anything in my hypnosis if they're afraid of something. Like, I don't want them floating in a cloud above the earth if they have a fear of heights. So I just ask questions like that, and then I will ask questions that allow them to talk and tell me exactly what they want to get from it so that I can use their language when I do a hypnosis session with them.
No, and I think that makes a lot of sense because I don't think that and I could be wrong just based on reading from the internet and what's out here. But I think that a lot of what you do as far as the hypnosis and this life coach and all of that isn't defined by you being pagan or a witch. Obviously, your personality and what you have and the way you think about things and frame them up in your own mind is, but the way that you're helping people on their journeys and to heal has nothing to do with magic or with you being a witch. It has to do with the training that you put in to be able to tap into, I guess, subconscious. Is it subconscious?
Yeah, the subconscious. Absolutely.
So, which I think is incredibly neat, and Barrett and I have talked about it before because he thinks that he wouldn't be, as far as hypnosis goes, and we're going to go a little off topic here, I think. He thinks he wouldn't be susceptible at all because he, I'm sure you can't tell, but he's
full of himself.
He's serious and he's stoic and, factual based and all of that. And we talked about the fact that I feel like probably I'm a very susceptible person. I'm very open to suggestion. I was like, I'd probably be someone who could be hypnotized pretty easily, although not if I have to picture myself in a cloud because I can't picture anything.
Well, she thinks people have superpowers too, that they can see through car doors, and
people could have superpowers. You don't know, is what I'm saying. I'm just saying you can't totally rule it out. You don't know.
No, I do come from a fairly skeptical place, and you explaining the science behind it, because you're right that my wife has a greenhouse full of plants, and one of the things that she and me has a greenhouse full of plants, and there have been scientific tests done where people have either played music for their plants and the plants have flourished, or they have had very kind, friendly things to say to their plants as they walk out. I'm sure you walk into your greenhouse and you say, "Good morning,"
all the time. I'm going to start talking to the tomato that I'm growing for you in a very mean way, though.
That's fair.
You're going to have very sour tomatoes.
That doesn't sound awful to me. The sour tomato kind of sounds like a pretty good flavored tomato.
Although on the plant thing, there's an episode of Radio Lab from years ago where they talk about the connectivity of plants and this whole thing. It's so good. So any listeners who are listening, go check out that episode of Radio Lab. Very good.
There are tons of people out there that believe that they can manifest the things that they want in their life, and there are documented cases where it works. So even as a skeptic, I'm not a skeptic because I refuse to believe it. I'm a skeptic because I have to have that proof. But even in the conversation we've had, there lines up the proof that I would need. So
he also lacks whimsy. He just doesn't want the joy in things.
Donald Trump has killed a lot of my whimsy, and he kills it every day. So talking about the hypnosis part, which was ultimately what led me to you, how many people come into your, I guess, sessions with you with this preconceived notion about what hypnosis is to them? What is it they like? What is it most people think that hypnosis is when you first take them on as a client?
I would say a good 80% really have no idea. They've only ever seen it on TV. They're wondering if they're going to be in control. And I always tell them, I'm not going to make you cluck like a chicken. You're not going to get up and dance, because that's what they're asking. That's what they're worried about. Stage hypnosis is a very special thing, and they have been trained to look through the audience and find the most acceptable people. And so those are the people they choose. They know what to look for. So that's not what I'm doing. I tell people they are in control completely. Even with a past life regression or an age regression, which is longer and deeper, I have had a client say that they needed to go to the bathroom in the middle. So you are always in control. Some people go deeper than others. In my regular hypnosis, even if you fall asleep, it still works because it works on the subconscious, and the subconscious never sleeps. So all your job is in a hypnosis session is to be relaxed. Whether you are hearing every car that passes outside and everything going on, or you are completely under and don't even remember that it's happened, there's still healing that can happen. So you don't have to be completely susceptible. in order for it to work and to be good.
But you do have to be in the right mindset, right? Like, so you
have
can't
to want
just be,
it.
right. Okay. So, the old TV thing with the stopwatch, you were getting very sleepy.
Right.
I assume, maybe or incorrectly, but I assume that's not how it actually happens.
That is not how it works. And those types of things, and the movie Get Out has done the worst for hypnosis, really. Just all the things that are in media and TV shows, and the watch going back and forth, and the control, all that just really kind of gives a bad name to what healing hypnosis really is, because it's not like that at all. It's more like meditation than anything. And in a meditation, you don't lose control. You're just relaxed. What the main job of a hypnosis practitioner who's doing hypnosis on someone is to bypass the conscious mind in whatever degree possible in order to speak to the subconscious mind. And like I said, I use the language of my client, and I find out exactly what they want to do. I had a client this morning when I was at the office, a younger client, and I spoke to both of my client and their parent about what they wanted to see happen. And I used the language that they use in their family of, you are loved, you are enough, those types of things. And it was just a matter of a gentle meditation. I have a special way of speaking. It's called the hypno voice that I was taught to use, that naturally bypasses that conscious mind. And you just relax and you listen to me speak for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then amazing things happen.
You want to give us a sample of a hypno voice?
I wanted to.
I know. I was like, I want to ask. But
Sure,
I
can do that. Sure. It kind of sounds like a lullaby. At some points, it might sound like I'm singing a little bit. That's what people say it sounds like. I'll give you an example. Just relax. Take a nice deep breath. And breathe out, exhaling anything that's been going on in your life that's struggle or tension or anxiety. All you need to do is just lay back and relax. Nobody needs anything from you right now. Nobody wants anything. This is a safe space for you to simply relax.
Look at that. You ever go to yoga class? Because that's very similar.
I have gone a few times.
Yeah. Like sometimes in a nice like vinyasa flow, it's the same kind of thing.
It is very calming. And even the singing it's not, I because in my head, I kind of felt as though there with I guess the hypnotism that we see on television and things like that there's a gimmick behind it. There's that, and if there isn't, then everyone is staged. But I have done meditation for a little while. I did transcendental meditation, and that was it never even occurred to me. But you're basically putting yourself into a hypnotic state where you're in complete control, but you're allowing for the ailments or the things that are bothering you to become actual, almost physical manifestations that you can push out and away from yourself, and allow for a hole to basically be filled by something that is more towards your benefit than what was there. So I it's not necessarily that I was skeptical of it. It was just that I had to figure out, for you to push me in the direction of figuring out, what it actually means in the experiences that I've had. So I think that's fascinating.
Is it hard to do the voice for 30, 40, 50 minutes?
No, not at all.
No?
I've done it for years now, and I will just naturally go into it. And I do a lot of meditations as well, guided meditations, and I will find myself using my voice when I do that as well. And so I have to pull back just a little bit because I don't want to be hypnotizing someone if they've only said that they're coming to my full moon for a meditation, you know.
And at the risk of sounding totally insane, can you accidentally hypnotize yourself?
I wouldn't say accidentally, but there's lots that you can do for self-hypnosis. And well, if you've ever been driving somewhere and you end up at your destination and you have forgotten a little bit of where you've been going, that is hypnosis.
I have done that.
That's hypnosis. Yeah.
I will
just totally zone out.
Yeah, I will tell a story. Like, there have been times where we have been traveling back or to somewhere where I have zoned out completely, where there are parts of the trip that I don't remember the road, even though I very well should have. And I know that I was in control of the vehicle because I arrived safely.
Thank God.
Right.
And there was no screaming.
You don't remember.
Let's just say not from the people that weren't supposed to be screaming. No, okay, sorry. But it's but I think back to one particular. We were coming back from a camping trip, and we had to leave the camping trip really late at night because there was a tornado warning where we were, and this was before cell phones. We just happened to have the radio on in the tornado warning, and they named the valley that we were camping in. So we very quickly packed up, or that we were in the path of. So we very quickly packed up our stuff and we got out. We drove out of that valley, and on the way home. But it was very late at night, and the thing that I remember in my head, I think, being what put me into whatever state I was in, was looking in the rearview mirror at the tar lines, the repair lines on the road, and the light reflecting off of those, and just continuing to look in the rear view to make sure that the friends that were following us, that they were still behind us, successfully staying close. But I think back to those lines in the road and how it almost had a hypnotic effect. And we got home, and one of the things I definitely told my brother, I said, I do not remember the drive home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any point of it. Can you tell me, did we were abducted by aliens or something? Like, so
that tells me you can be hypnotized.
Oh, well, great.
Yeah. but I will say this is that from what I've been getting from you through our talk, I think that you would have to trust the person so deeply in order to give up the control. So your conscious mind, it's not that you can't be hypnotized, it's that you want to be in control, and you would have to trust the person in order to give up that much control to completely go under.
That's fair. And I think that's a good assessment.
So do you think that's common though? I mean, because I can't imagine that most people just know a hypnotist and can be like, okay, I've got some things I want to work through, and here's this person who I trust implicitly who can help me work through them. I feel like in most cases you're like, hey, I've got this trauma that I need to work through, and here's this person who I've just met who now I somehow am going to trust with me and my mind, and that feels like that would be a hard thing to overcome.
Is there at least a certificate on the wall that I can hang on to that and be like, yeah, I know. It was a joke. Well, before we get too close to the end of this, I want to make sure that if anyone listening to this has any desire to potentially, are you taking new clients?
I am. Okay.
How can people get a hold of you? And I'll make sure to include it in the show notes, but how can people get a hold of you so that they can potentially approach you about being a client?
I have a Facebook page. It's called 3 Rays of Light, and it's the number 3. And then I have a website as well that you can book straight from it. You can find out all information, 3raysoflight.org. And again, that's a number 3.
Okay.
What's the significance of the 3 rays of light?
That goes back to my Druid roots. So there is a symbol called the Awen, which I also use in my Green Wild stuff. The Awen is a symbol of 3 dots and 3 lines coming down. And if you are describing that, you would describe it as 3 rays of light, of inspiration, and that sort of thing. And so I didn't want to call my business anything to do with Awen, so I named it 3 Rays of Light as a description of the Awen.
Alwyn. In my head, I wanted to say Arwen from Lord of the Rings, and Eowyn because I have a trying to think of the word. I know an individual named Eowyn, so that was what kept playing out in my head when I saw Alwyn. So one of the things that on your fact sheet, which you provided, which thank you, by the way, to have a guest provide a fact sheet is fantastic. Talking to you, Bill Kimler. So it said you're on the board of directors for Interfaith Partners of South Carolina as the pagan faith representative. So,
yes,
what is that experience like?
That experience was very scary at first, and again, making reference to how I grew up and how kind of hated anything of that nature was, to have gone from that, and my husband was going to divorce me because of who I was, to now being the pagan faith representative for South Carolina and going around and meeting all these groups and sitting next to rabbis and nuns and pastors and all these different people, and having an equal voice is incredible. And it shows me that South Carolina is changing, maybe not as fast as we would like it to be inclusive, but I'm extremely interfaith. I think that everyone should have a right to practice and believe what they want as long as it is not harming other people. So it's been an amazing experience, and I love being part of that group.
You're also an educator teaching at the Greenwild Mystical Academy.
Yes.
What is one of your favorite topics to teach, and why?
One of my favorite ones is an energetic anatomy course where we're looking at all the layers of your aura and all the energy chakras, and just from various cultures. We look at this whole thing of what cultures believe in order for you to decide how to work with your own energy systems. That's one of my favorite ones.
Fascinating.
What is the age range on like the people that are I guess the students?
We have a children's course. It's called Walking a Pagan Path for Kids. So we have kids, parents who join for their kids to do that, all the way up to, I would say, maybe 80s. So anyone.
I will admit, I think that South Carolina, the country as a whole. I mean, I see the statistics that acknowledge that atheism is the growing. And it's not really a religion. It's the growing recognized religion in the country. Like the country is tending to move away from this idea that you have to have some sort of an organizational structure in order to have a spirituality or to have faith in, the universe. And it's interesting because I certainly have people in my life that are directly influential in trying to constantly push back that the idea that an organized religion, whether it's Christianity or it's Hinduism or Buddhism, whatever, that you have to have that structure in order to have a whole life. Mm-hmm. And paganism, it almost sounds like there is the value to it without the necessary structure. And I'm just trying to interpret it in a way that, again, I'm trying to make it make sense in my very analytical mind.
Yeah.
So, I like I said, the first thing that I thought of when you described what paganism was is that I was a Boy Scout. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we did was with everything, every project, every camping trip, there was always an acknowledgement of being thankful for, the fact that the land is there and that we have to treat it with the utmost respect in order to continue to be able to use it at the grace of nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so pagan.
The Mormons are not gonna like to hear that. I'm gonna tell you right now. They're not into that nature thing.
I bet they are, though. I think that nature is human above all else. Like, well, not above all. Nature is nature, but like everybody has some sort of connection to nature. I mean, the vitamin D from the sun, the feeling of the earth beneath your feet. Like, I don't think it, regardless of religion or anything else, like, we're all connected to nature.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this one's constantly telling me how desperate she is to get outside.
Oh my God.
I mean,
I hate this time of year. I'm so ready for spring.
Yeah.
I'm not made for the winter.
I think that last year was the first year in America that there were under 50% of people in churches. Like, it was a big thing, and that most people are marking spiritual but not religious. SBNR, I guess they're calling it.
And that is a trend that is happening across Eastern Asia. China is seeing a very significant increase in the number of people that don't actively participate in a religion. It's crossing Europe with the same statistical acknowledgement that there are so many people that are leaving whatever their church is, whether because it's and not to offend anyone that is of which that's not my typical. I'm perfectly happy with offending people, but acknowledging that there is a decline in what is considered intelligence, and this is scientifically proven through reports and testing and things like that. But people that attach themselves to a very strong faith-based system that has one particular person in the sky that is controlling everything around them, that when they move themselves away from that attachment, that they find that those people participate in things or show an incline or an inclination to scientific studies and things that would lead you to believe that there is a more intelligence attempt at the scientific method, questioning, using critical thinking.
They're absolutely brainwashed, because I was, even as a child.
So I think moving away from this one God sort of situation is probably one that benefits. And again, I don't want anyone to think that I have any judgments towards their faith. I don't. It's purely my choice, and I acknowledge that I don't have the ability to attach myself to that faith-based system because I have too many questions that can't be answered with any facts. There's nothing provable. Do I believe that Jesus Christ existed? I absolutely do. Was he magical? I don't. Not in the pick any card, sort of situation.
You don't know. He might have had a really great sleight of hand.
He could have. He brought Lazarus back from the dead. So, well, I don't want to eat up too much of your time, and we really, really do appreciate you coming on with us. Again, everyone needs to check out if you're interested in becoming a client or you're interested in just looking into more of this, you can check out the 3 Rays of Light on Facebook. I will make sure that there are links in the show notes so that you can check those out.
Thank you.
Mela, is there anything else that you'd like to potentially discuss or use our platform for? Because I am extremely intrigued, and there's a possibility I may see if a clientship is one that might be available, because I am interested in potentially, like I said, I've done transcendental meditation, I've done other various types of meditation, and they've not ever had any ill effect. I think that I've only benefited from them. But is there anything that you'd like to tell our listeners before we sign off tonight?
Any hypnosis that you get, make sure you trust your hypnosis practitioner, whether it's me or someone else, and know that hypnosis is about healing. It doesn't matter if you're going to stop smoking or for anxiety, or if you're doing a past life regression or trying to do mediumship through hypnosis to talk to your loved one, and anything in between. Everything you do is about healing, and you don't even have to believe in anything that you're doing. You don't have to believe there are past lives to get healing from a past life regression. All you have to believe for hypnosis to work is that your subconscious brain is powerful enough to heal you if you tap into it.
All right. That's fantastic. Well, Mela, I really appreciate you coming on the show. And like I said, oh, well, I don't have them with me.
Oh.
They are behind me. So Mela, maybe what I'll try and do is I'll try and connect with you another time and see if we can do it. So we do a thing called 7 questions. And honestly, if I can think of them, then I will. Okay. So I think I can think of a few of them. So the first question is, what was the last thing you Googled?
I'm not saying that. What was the last? It was something on FetLife.
Okay. All right. That's close enough. We're good with that. Let me. Okay. So another one of the questions is if you. So we changed this one a little bit. It used to be if your life were a movie, what would the title be? But we changed it because a lot of people associate what their potential biopic of them with the opening song. So if your life were a biopic, what would the opening song to that movie be?
Can I cuss?
Yeah.
So there's a song by Chinchilla called Motherfucking Diamond, and that's my song.
Say it one more time because it cut off on us.
It did.
It's a song by Chinchilla called Motherfucking Diamond.
Okay. Do you know
that's
that
my
song?
song?
I don't.
I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look it up. All right. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would that be, and what are you eating?
I misunderstood that question for a second. I thought
you said, "Who are you eating?"
Yep, 100%. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Frida Kahlo, Einstein, and my uncle who died of AIDS in '96.
Okay.
And I would eat Mediterranean every single time.
Oh, okay. So we're talking some cheeses and some fig. What was it? The fig leaf
stuffed grape leaves, hummus,
that's it.
baba ganoush. I don't care.
Okay. All right. I'm with it. I'd be there for that. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some of the other questions, and I think. Let's see. What is your least favorite candy and why?
It would be the cinnamon, any cinnamon candy, because I am definitely allergic to cinnamon.
Gosh, really?
Yeah, even the scent of it. I've been in the hospital for anaphylaxis because of the scent of it.
So, like in the fall, you can't walk into basically any store, huh?
No, it's awful. The brooms and all that. Yeah. I've been in the Aldi parking lot on my knees, coughing my eyes out because I walked into the Aldi and went by the brooms.
I can't eat. That would make me so sad. Like one of the happiest times of the year for me is cinnamon broom season. I have like 6 of them in my house. Like they're everywhere. I've got a little one in the car. So I would be sure not to try and kill you.
I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but if you were to, if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would that be? Hummus. Okay. I figured it was going to be something Mediterranean. So a little smashed chickpea and some olive oil and whatnot.
Yeah, that's got protein and everything else.
No, it does sound good. Was it Ron White told the joke? He said, I wouldn't throw a chickpea at a dog's ass. I don't remember the context of the joke, but that's the punchline. That is all I remember. So,
that's the important part, I guess.
Sadly, that's almost all I ever remember is the punchline. I do this awkward thing sometimes in meetings where I will be the only one sitting on a call waiting for everyone to join. And as soon as somebody joins, I will just say something absurd. And that's when the rabbi punched him in the throat. And then they get into the call and they're like, what? And I said, oh, I was telling a joke. You missed, all you heard was the punchline. And there is no joke where the punchline is the rabbi punched the guy in the throat. It just, there isn't, not that I know of, but are you going to look it up? She's going to look up to see if there's a joke that ends in the punchline is the rabbi punches the guy in the throat. I bet
that's your magic. That right there is your magic.
I write jokes backwards.
You are creating an energy in all the groups you're in.
Yeah,
all the
well,
meetings.
That's fair. Is there not?
These are really bad articles. So
oh, okay.
they're
all
a
right.
bit depressing me.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on for the rabbi jokes then. Well, Mela, I really want to appreciate. I sincerely appreciate you coming on with us and spending this time with us. And I really do hope that you continue to have plenty of success and that maybe you get some more clients out of this. I think that would be awesome too.
That would be great.
Do you mostly meet in the office, or do you also have the availability for people that would potentially want to meet with you remotely?
I can do virtual, and I also right now meet twice a month at an office over in Irmo area.
Okay, perfect. Well, Mela, I really appreciate you coming on with us. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. But if there's ever anything that we can do for you, please reach out and let me know, and we'll certainly do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I waited till the end to hit the mic.
Yeah, Ami did really good. Usually when she's recording her podcast, it's this and this and this.
I talk with my hands, and it's
Mine
right
is
here.
my chair. I'm always moving my chair.
and not to steal from Barrett's podcast, but I'm probably going to steal your contact information. Reach out on a topic for mine.
Go for it.
I will pass that along very willingly. So again, Mela Borawski, thank you very much. Oh, she did it again. Thank you very much for being on the show with us. I sincerely appreciate it. And again, hopefully I'll hope for all of the success, and that everyone that you treat, has all of their success too, and that they come out very well healed. So thank you again. That's going to do it for episode number 250. Thank you very much, Mela, for being on. Thank you, Ami, for being here to assist where Zach has failed.
I'm always a suitable, better replacement for Zach.
Links to all of our past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, and social media are available at our website, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content entertainment is silly, and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show? Members get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content. Visit members.theallaboutnothing.com, or you can find a link on our webpage. You can also give us a one-time donation through the same link. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533, or you can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com. You can join our Discord server as well. Links can be found on our webpage. Thank you for listening, everybody. You stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands
to yourself.
Keep your hands to yourself.
The All About Nothing podcast is a product of Big Media and produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow Everything Cake, the band, at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff, the producer, for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the Producer. You can follow me across social media by visiting Linktree/Barrett Gruber. And you can follow Zach King on Linktree/AANZach. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. To find links to our social media, podcast platforms, and merchandise to support the show, as well as past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can email theshow@theallaboutnothing.com, or you can call our number and leave a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our sister shows. What the Pod Was That with Carrie, Zach, and myself. Welcome to Wonderland with Ami. Politically Speaking with Erica, Kirsten, and Emily. And Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jameel Brooks and Bill Kimmler. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and punch that notification bell. Thank you for listening, and hear us next week. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media, LLC, and is copyright 2025, all rights reserved. Summer is heating up with Everplay Sports and Social League. Get in on the fun with Super Rec Kickball Tuesdays at M Avenue Ballpark, or join the classic Wednesday or Thursday night kickball at both M Avenue and B Avenue. Prefer volleyball? We've got indoor mix and match Sundays at Providence Park, Monday indoor at Tri-City, and sand volleyball Tuesdays and Thursdays at Pollywog. Swing into softball Sundays or Mondays at TS Martin, or go big with hardball Wednesdays at Seven Oaks Park. Like a strike of fun? Hit bowling Tuesdays at Bolero, or toss some bags with cornhole Wednesdays Wednesdays at Jay's Corner. Score goals with Turf Soccer Mondays at Recreation Athletics and Wednesday Soccer at B Avenue and Bray Park. And don't miss Pickleball Monday at Casey Pickleball Complex. Registration is open now through May 21st at everplaysocial.com. Also mark your calendars for the 10th Masters of Putt Putt, Friday, August 22nd. Registration by August 21st. Everplay, your league, your social life, your summer of fun. Visit everplaysocial.com for registration and details.